Up, co-reporters, and welcome back to my channel. Listen, Kailyn Lowry revealed on her Coffee Convos podcast this morning that her third baby daddy, Chris Lopez, is going to be taking her to court. He is not playing. So I guess that stuff he's been posting online about how kids should be raised by their dads, single dads are better than single moms and whatnot, is kind of foreshadowing some actions that he wants to take. Okay. And let's get into that. But just real quick here, normally I recap these exclusively for my channel members, but this is such a short recap that I figured I might as well just go ahead and put it up for everybody. But if you guys want exclusive videos, exclusive podcast recaps, definitely make sure to hit that join button down below. So let's get into Chris trying to drag Kail into court, shall we? Again, she revealed that on her Coffee Convos podcast. And this time it's Kail who wants to avoid court while Chris is gunning for it. And the issue at hand is in regards to custody of the children, and how their last order was put in place when Lux was still like in pre-K, still in like the kind of daycare sort of mode. And so Kail had gone to Chris asking for some sort of a revision, done and handled through mediation outside of the courtroom. But Chris said, absolutely not. I want to take it to court. And I found that to be quite wild on his behalf, because I feel like, I don't know, like, why do you want to go immediately to court? If someone wants to work something out with you, try to do a negotiation. And then if that doesn't work, then take it to the court route. But I digress. So before we get into that, at the very beginning of the podcast, Kail talked about how she has no idea where one of her baby daddies lives. And so when you take a look at the lineup of baby daddies she has, you go, okay, well, Joe, it can't be him because she and he have a pretty good relationship right now. And she's also quite close to his wife, V, who hosts a podcast alongside her called Baby Mama's No Drama. Then when you think about Javi, she and he are not on the best of terms, but they used to be knocking boots well after their divorce, even after her relationship with Chris and whatnot, before she got with Elijah. So obviously, in order to be doing that sort of thing, you need to know where the man lives. So she definitely knows where he lives. He hasn't moved since the last time that they were super duper friendly. Which leaves Chris, right? Because her third baby daddy, because the fourth baby daddy she's currently living with. So she knows where his ass is at. But it seems as though Chris does not want her to have any kind of idea where he's at. He doesn't even want her to know the neighborhood that he is living in. And I got to ask you guys who are doing the whole co-parenting thing, is this like, I can't even ask if it's normal because it's obviously not, but is this allowed? This to me seems kind of like a safety risk at some point. Like, unless a parent is super abusive and needs to stay away from the child, I don't think another parent should be able to live somewhere in secret with your kid. I find that to be really, really, really creepy and really, really off. So I do hope that this is something that actually gets addressed when they actually go to court to handle all of these issues. It's like, okay, now you want to act like you're all that now that you just finally moved out of your grandma's attic at 30 something with 3 kids, right? She says that she wanted to update the parenting plan that the two of them currently have in place because they're operating off of a parenting plan that was put in place when Lux was in preschool. And the current parenting plan doesn't cover a lot of holiday travel issues that they're having and change of appearance issues, which is obviously a callback to when Chris Lopez cut off Lux's hair to spite Kail. This really pissed off Kail. So she went on over to his mama's house and put the paws on him, allegedly. And she caught an offensive touching charge from this and everything. It was a huge deal. So she just wants to make sure that that can never happen again. And when it comes to holidays, what she was saying with Lindsay was that she wanted a similar plan to what Lindsay has in place for her holidays and travel. So basically, Lindsay and her ex-husband Will have it that if either of them travel with their son Jackson, they have to tell the person the address of where they're going, the names of the people who are there with them, like all that sort of thing. And I believe there's also like at least one phone call has to be made between Jackson and the other parent and things like that. And so Kail says that they've got none of that in her parenting plan with Chris. In fact, when Chris travels with the kids, he doesn't even tell Kail where he's going or who he's going to be with. So she definitely wants all of that to be handled. Yeah, I find that to be really wild. She's also saying she doesn't understand why Chris wants to take this issue to court because she doesn't want to affect his parenting time with the kids. She likes the arrangement that they've got going on right now. So it's not like she's taking away any time. So she really thought that this was something that could be handled amicably, but apparently not. Chris is refusing and he's insisting on going straight to trial. She also says that another big issue that they're fighting over, and this is something she's been talking about on the podcast for a while now, is where Lux gets to go play sports. So Kail would prefer for Lux to play sports in her district because she is the primary parent, and this is where all of Lux's friends are. So she, of course, wants them to play sports with his friends. Chris wants him to play somewhere in between both of their two residences. But the gag is Kail doesn't even know where that man lives. So how do we find a place in between the two of us if I don't know where you live, So that's something that they really want to just go ahead and have worked out. I personally am team Kail on that. I think that the kid should play close to his primary residence. No one told Chris to go move super far away. He could have moved closer to where Kail was at. And it makes more sense for him in regards to being able to play with his friends and everything like that as well. So I totally see that. And then Lindsay also talks about how when it comes to her situation with the ex-husband, he recently was on vacation with their son, Jackson. And normally what would happen is that he would call Lindsay and wish her a happy birthday if they're not there with her or whatever, and have Jackson wish her a happy birthday as well. But this year he didn't do that. He didn't even tell Lindsay who he was going on his trip with. And she's really upset about that because it's against the parenting plan. And so she took that up with him and was like, why aren't you following the parenting plan? Blah, blah, blah. And to punish her, this guy had agreed to allow Lindsay to take their son Jackson to the mountains for the weekend. And then actually he goes, you know what? Never mind. I don't want to anymore. And she had already booked the Airbnb or the hotel or whatever, everything set up for the trip. And so he just backed out. And I feel like that's so mean. Guys, why do people get really mean? It's just so wild to me that you guys were so in love or whatever, that you had to have a kid together and everything. And you can't be civil now that you're broken up. They both have moved on to other people. So why do they have to be so mean and spiteful to each other? And it's not just Lindsay and her man. This is just, it seems to be the case with so many co-parenting situations. And it just makes me so sad for the people and for the kids. Because, I imagine Lindsay talked about the mountain thing to Jackson and everything. And, he must have been excited and looking forward to that adventure. And now that's being taken away from him because he's a pawn in a game between these two people. And same thing for Lindsay's birthday. I'm sure Jackson knows when her birthday is. And another thing that Lindsay said is that it seems like Will deliberately shut off Jackson's phone throughout the entire vacation and didn't allow that line of communication. It's I'm sorry, but that's giving evil to me. That is so wild. I imagine Jackson wanted to reach out to Lindsay at least, once throughout this trip, or to at least wish her a happy birthday or something. And it seems like he was not allowed to do that. And I just find that to be very cruel, to be honest with you guys. It's scary out here. Be careful who you're popping out kids with, because it gets ugly, and that's sad for you. And that's sad for your kid too, Now, then a little bit later on in the podcast, Kail starts talking about body language in photos. She's like, you know what? There's this girl I used to go to school with, but what happened? I've been looking at her photos. She's been posing with her man and everything. And I noticed that she's looking all happy, cheesy, and smiling. And the guy, he's just there. She's smiling like this, and he's smiling like this. I don't have a good closed mouth smile, by the way. Let me try again. He's smiling like this. So Kail, and then she says, the girl's always leaning in like this, and the guy's just there. So she's body language expert. And then she's like, you know what? That girl is so nice. She should leave that man for someone who's going to smile hard in pictures with her. And then they get into the conversation about why Kail is really hardcore into reading body language and photos right now. And it's because her photos get picked apart so much online that she starts to look at hers so hardcore before she posts them online. For example, if her kids are not smiling enough, she won't post it. And then she's like, well, for example, Isaac, sometimes he doesn't want to show his teeth. So he'll do a closed mouth smile. And people will be like, oh, he's unhappy. I won't post it because I know he's happy, but he looks unhappy just because he doesn't want to show his teeth. I'm like, well, why do you see this for yourself, but you don't see it for the girl's man? It's always like that with her. She'll always give herself so much grace. But then with other people, it's, I feel like the same thing could apply to the girl's guy. Maybe he doesn't have the greatest teeth, or maybe he's not confident about his teeth, or maybe he doesn't smile well with teeth, just like I don't smile well without teeth, Everybody has different reasons for the way that they smile, I think. And I don't think it necessarily, Girl, did you hear that? I don't even know where she is. Oh, she's over there. She's doing her little downward dog. Yeah, like I feel like everybody has their little like reasons for why they do or don't smile the way that they do or don't. So I felt like, her putting that girl and her relationship on blast like that was very weird, especially if she's going to talk about how hurtful it's been to her that people have done that to her and her photos and how it affects the photos that she chooses to put online about her. Involving herself and her kids and her man and stuff. I find that really funny. Anyway, guys, listen, that's basically it. It was a kind of a short in terms of meaty content episode of the show. So I don't really have too much to say. I think it's time to go take this little cutie for a walk too. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. Do you think that Chris stands a chance in custody court against Kail? On the one hand, I'm like, okay, well, like he only just started like paying his own bills and really showing up for these kids and no longer having supervised visitation. Like, is it enough to really try to strong arm someone in court or whatever? I don't know. But on the other hand, when a judge looks at Kail's situation and sees that this girl has like another form of instability, which is just a constant, I'm sorry, but the constant breeding with all these random people, that might also have an effect as well. I don't know. Maybe even the TikTok videos. I actually think Kail needs to be careful with the videos she posts online about these kids, because she will be posting videos of her coaxing these kids to give the middle finger on TikTok, to swear on TikTok, like just a bunch of just very weird, parenting moments. I don't know why she's putting these videos up or encouraging the kids to act this way. I'm sure they're good kids, but she seems to be coaching them to act a certain way online. And I feel like perhaps that is something that Chris might eventually bring up in court in order to justify some of his positions, and that, he needs more time or he needs more authority, X, Y, or Z. Because don't forget, yesterday I did a video about how Chris was on Instagram Live talking about how his son Lex doesn't really appreciate him. And he feels like it's because Kail is out here pop locking and dropping it for everybody on the block and inviting them all into her home and to have kids with all these people. And he feels like that might be the reason why. So I think he really wants to get dirty with her. Don't forget, even before that video, there was another video I made about how he had been posting all kinds of content claiming that kids are better off being raised by dads than by moms. Like, I think he really means war with her, and it's going to be interesting to watch it play out. Like, I don't know, guys. I don't know if he stands that much of a chance, but we'll have to wait and see, okay? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. I'm going to take this cutie for a walk, and we're going to go to a vintage market. So pretty much every day, almost like at least 4 days a week, there are vintage markets like out on the street. And so I'm going to one today. I went yesterday, and I got some pieces of art. Hang on, let me go pick them up. I got these cute little pieces. It's just I don't know where to put them yet, you guys. Okay, I got this one. I'm like, I just love the moodiness of it. I think it's just so stinking adorable. But I'm like, where do I put it? I want to do like a little gallery wall situation. And then I got this one with it. And I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to have these like next to each other and then to have a third one for here. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go look and try to find a third one today at the market, the vintage market. Anyway, guys, that's all for now. Let me know what you think about the situation. And as usual, we'll chat. Take care. Bye.